When we first met Angie Solomon, she was accusing her ex-husband, a former Tennessee news anchor, of causing the death of the couple's 18-year-old son. That was more than a year ago. Ashleigh had her on this show as a guest. But lately, Solomon's been in the news again for a very different reason. Why? A couple weeks ago, she was charged with solicitation to commit first-degree murder, legalese for allegedly hiring a hitman. And whom exactly did Solomon allegedly want hit? Her ex-husband, Aaron Solomon. Now, no such murder ever happened, thankfully, because as usually happens in these kinds of cases, the hired gun was an undercover cop who was wearing a wire. So when the alleged client told him she wanted Aaron Solomon, quote, under the ground and asked to pay for it out of a family trust after the fact, it was all on tape. And today, it was played in court. I want you to hear it and notice how surprised Solomon sounds when she finds out the price.
How much are we talking? Well, something like this, about 5,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I'm laughing, but he's worth it. He's not worth it.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, but let me just tell you something.
It's a risk I'm taking.
I pray for hate.
Do you have any cash or anything? Can you go to an ATM or give me anything down?
I'm so broke.
You got any jewelry, anything of value that you could give me to?
I sold everything I owned for the rest of the year.
What about giving me the registration until we settle this up?
That's what George and I talked about. I don't even have. I mean, I have the registration.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're not talking about the whatever that's called, the owner. Gosh, I'm afraid to get into the paperwork on it. I don't mind giving it to you, but I'm afraid to get into the paper with my name.
I'm afraid of getting stiffed. That's what I'm afraid of.
Now, tape or no tape, Solomon pleaded not guilty today, and the judge cut her bond in half, from $500,000 to $250,000. I'm joined right now by my friend Lauren Conlin, host of the hugely popular true crime podcast, The Outlier, and Pop Crime TV on YouTube. Lauren, so good to see you.
Thank you so much.
I know this is difficult for you because you not only knew Angie, you had her on your podcast multiple times. What has this been like for you to learn this news? And I have to ask, was there anything in your conversations with her that would give you any indication she might allegedly do something like this?
No, there was nothing in our conversations indicating that she would allegedly do something like this. And I dedicated almost a year to investigating her son's death, which I still find to be very odd, and many people find it to be very odd. So I had a whole separate podcast centered around her family. And this family is, they've gone through a lot. Now, the death of Angie's son in 2020 was very sad, very mysterious to a lot of us. Her daughter, Gracie, went on YouTube when she was 14 years old and made allegations against her father. And Angie has made it very known that she believes that her ex-husband, Aaron Solomon, is behind her son's death. And her ex-husband has never been arrested, never been charged, but again, it's very well known. So I was shocked, I was sad, but my heart really goes out to Gracie right now. I mean, she should be focusing on, you know, her senior skip day or her senior pranks, and now she's got this to deal with.
Do you know how she's doing?
I mean, there were images of her in the courtroom today I saw on the stream, and she was sobbing. Yeah. She's very close to her mom. Angie and Gracie, you know, they felt like they were all they had when Grant passed away. And they were a very strong trio, Angie, Gracie, and Grant. So it's awful.
If you assume these allegations are true, the why is interesting. What would be the reason that she'd want to hire somebody to kill Aaron? Because she called it vigilante justice, and that the deaths of many people, including children, would be prevented by taking out her ex-husband. Can you explain what the motivation might be here, or at least what's being laid out by authorities?
That was interesting. She did make a lot of allegations about human trafficking on that recording, and I can't really speak to any of that, but I can speak to the fact that she made it very clear she was doing this for her daughter and for her son, because she believes that her ex-husband killed her son, and she believes that her ex-husband abused her daughter. And again, he has never been charged for any of this, but this is what Angie believes, and she does feel like no one has listened to her, law enforcement, you know, and just the public in general.
She had indicated, or allegedly indicated, she may have wanted 2 other people killed too. Do you know who those people might be?
It sounded like they may have been political, possibly. I mean, I did get an email from the courts after saying that they actually kicked her case over to the circuit courts, which kind of led me to believe that there possibly could be other charges coming if they get this in front of a grand jury. I mean, that was very scary, but no, I don't know any of the specifics behind that.
The judge dropped her bond to $250,000. Can she cover that? Do you know?
I don't think so. I mean, you heard her. She said that she was broke, and I mean, they have a fundraiser, but I think that's going to be very, very tough, Jesse.
Has Angie reached out to you since this has happened? Do you know if she's attempted to or anything like that?
No, and I actually hadn't spoken to her in probably a year. You know, life happens. It was tough for me to investigate this case all the way in New York. It's in Tennessee. But I have to say, this case right now, the murder for hire plot, I mean, it's serious. It's a Class B felony. That's 8 to 12 years in Tennessee. But I do think after hearing this recording, if she had a good defense attorney, she might be able to poke some holes here.
What makes you say that?
Well, I never heard her say, I want you to kill him. I heard her say, I mean, and look, I felt like,
ground, you know?
Well, she said he needs to be in jail or under the ground. And then the undercover TVI agent kind of led her a little bit. He was like, well, what do you want? And then, you know, I felt like a lot of his questions were a bit leading, and she never gave him a title to her car. It was a registration, and you can't transfer a car, you know, with a registration, and she didn't give him any money, so it's tough. I feel like there is some reasonable doubt there.
What is the online community saying? Because you're not the only one who followed this case. A lot of people, and when I say this, I mean about what happened to Grant, but what are people saying online about this?
I mean, it's mixed.
It is,
I'll
right?
be honest. There's a lot of people saying, well, this woman has been screaming for help for over a decade. No one's listened. I'm not surprised. And then there's the other side that's like, hey, they're both crazy. I do feel really, really bad for both Angie and Gracie, and I know that might be not the best thing to say right now while she is awaiting trial for a murder for hire plot, but I do feel like this family has been through it.
Was Aaron in court?
He was in court.
What was that like?
I mean, they kind of panned the camera over to him a few times. He didn't really make any type of expression. He kind of just sat there somber, but I know that, God, Gracie, when I told you, when they panned to her, she was a mess. And I don't think there was any communication between them at all. They don't speak. So it's tough.
What about full circle here? The son's death, right? Grant's death. Is it still an active investigation?
Well, interestingly enough, on the 911 call, Angie Solomon had mentioned 3 witnesses, and these witnesses had never come forward. And it's been over 5 years, and I called the Gallatin police after getting some information that 2 of the 3 witnesses may have come forward, and it turns out they did come forward. What they said, and I received this updated report from the Gallatin police, it kind of, it was a little confusing. They actually said that they saw Grant's truck go down this hill, and the next thing that they knew, they were kind of swerving out of the road because they thought the truck was going to go into the highway. Right. And then all of a sudden, Grant disappeared underneath his truck, and he looked like a pretzel, they said. This was a little bit confusing for me because I spoke to the EMT, the first EMT that was on the scene. He never said anything about Grant looking like a pretzel. So again, I still have a lot of questions here. I think a lot of people do. This is just another complex letter to this case. Lauren Conlin, thanks so much for taking the time. Thanks for having me. Good seeing you. All right. You can also, by the way, find her true crime podcast, The Outlier, everywhere you get your podcasts, and her YouTube channel. It's called Pop Crime TV. Hope everybody can check it out.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.